Hello, everyone. Welcome to our What's Your Career video series. My name is Tony Ann Hudson, and of course, I'm your host. With me today, I have Stephanie Daley. And of course, Stephanie is from the creative side of things, graphics and design, animations. Yeah. So,
Okay.
hello, Stephanie. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me, Tony.
It's our pleasure. So we know you're having a little bit of technical difficulties, so let's head right into the interview. So tell us, what's your career and what is it about?
Well, I am a graphic designer, so I'm in the field of graphics or the creative design field. Um, but I also do motion graphics or illustrations, and this will entail specifically in graphics to understand a brand if you're working for marketing. Um, Company, or if you're working on the marketing department, it's really important that you understand the brand and you're able to use your creativity and your creative methods to communicate that brand to their audiences. So that's the field that I'm personally in. However, the arts field is so diverse, and it really can, you can go in any direction, and that's just where I ended up.
Okay, understood. So if I wanted to venture along a same path as you, what qualities do I need to have? What when I look into myself, what at least should be there? What should be present for me to know I'll do well in this career path?
I think first and foremost is definitely to be a creative thinker. I think that's the foundation in any art related field. And I think another important quality that you must have is to be like open minded or receptive, because it's a field that um, is very subjective. Anything within art and design, you're going to be judged subjectively. So you need to make sure that you can accept criticisms and adapt your um, work from that, whether it's from your boss or from the audiences that are going to interact with your work. You have to make sure that you can adapt to that, and your style of art um, is, open minded or receptive, or just make sure that you're very selective in what field you end up going in if you really don't want to change how you do your art.
Okay. If I'm at that point in my life, about to graduate high school, going into university, can you just quickly walk me through the steps I would need to take?
Okay, well, personally, here in Jamaica, I studied animation at
Mhm.
Carimac, and that kind of gave me um, everything that I would need. It allowed me to gain the highest knowledge of um, motion, graphics, and art. Um, and then the nature of animation is to really study real life around you and to represent that uh, in an art form. So it I had to do a lot of study of fine arts on the human body, making sure that you understand everything. So I think animation is one of the highest steps that you can take to really make sure you cover a lot of um, requirements that you would need. However, I think just really understanding the principles of art, and if you want to go in the same career path as me in graphic designing, I think understanding marketing and communication is a good step to take.
A great point.
It's a good foundation. You just studying that. But first and foremost, the main thing in any art field is to make sure that you have a really good portfolio. So not so much on your uh, degrees or what bachelors you have, which is definitely important, um, depending on what company you want to go to. But
Mhm.
even if they look at your degree and bachelor, what will be the deciding factor? I think it will be your portfolio. So to start building your portfolio, it could just be any ad that you see on TV to any brand that you know of, to just create an ad for it. Create a secondary logo, just use your free time to build on your portfolio if graphic design is the field that you want to go to. And it also applies to any other art field, to just keep building your portfolio.
Okay. So, how many years does it take in general, though, if I am to go to university and do the complete studies? How long does that take?
Right. Well, the program at UE, it was a 3-year program. So I graduated in 3 years and got my bachelor's. But as I said, what's most important is your portfolio, and that just really never ends. You kind of just,
Yeah.
I'm still updating my portfolio because the more you practice, the more your art gets better. So it's always to make sure that you keep your portfolio updated. Yeah, so just making sure that you have your portfolio, and that can take as little as a few months, depending on your skill level, or a few years. So,
Yeah.
but studying, if you're going to the marketing at UA, I think that's also I think 3 years, a 3-year program. So it shouldn't take that long. But if you do want to go to the higher level of animation studies, then a school abroad, I think, may take 4 or more.
4 more. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so you went to UAE. It took you 3 years. Um, So what was the tuition like? I'm sold. I'm sold. I want to go to Karimak too, and I want to study animation, and I want to learn to kind of tap into my creative juices and just put it on canvas. So how much money are we looking at though? Or we know it changes, so you can at least tell us what it was like for you, how much you paid per semester, or overall the price for the degree.
In terms of UE, therefore, there was no subsidiaries available, so we had to pay full price, and I think it was, my memory serves, at least $1 million Jamaican per semester. Yeah, or per year, one of the two. It was expensive, and it rightly so. It's a field that requires a lot of either expensive software or equipment in order to really compete with the professionals. However, there are some alternatives, some free alternatives to use. May take longer in the process, but it definitely is a pricey field to get into. However, I'm sure there were other scholarships that you can apply for, whether external ones or ones that, I know there's some sports that may offer scholarships at UE if you're doing a sport. So there are definitely other options. I'm not sure about how it is now, if there's any subsidy options at the program now. I'm not too
Okay.
sure, but yeah, it's an expensive field.
Okay. Well, where there's a will, there's a way. I like to say that. So
And it definitely has a payoff too, because when
it
you
does.
start working, yeah, it's you get paid higher, especially when you're freelance and you can charge how much you want.
And that's great because where I'm headed right now is, let's talk about the benefits a little bit.
Mhm,
So it's an expensive course or a degree,
mhm,
expensive
mhm.
degree, but I'm pretty sure there are even higher benefits to being in such a career. So, just brush us over a little bit so we can have an idea.
Well, one of the benefits is, as I said, it really doesn't require any bachelor's or anything. So you wouldn't have to keep up with your studies and go back and get a master's or go back and get a PhD to really be on top of your peers. You do just have to make sure that your portfolio is, you know, always improving. So that's one benefit, that you really don't have to go back to school. Another benefit is that, especially when you're freelancing, depending on your skill level, you really can set your price. You really can become a. I wouldn't say you. Depending on, depending on the scope of graphic designers available also in the field, you really can determine your price for the quality. And I think that's very important because it may take 3 years for you to develop, and art is something that you practice to get better at. So you get better and you get faster at your work, but because of all that years of experience, you're allowed to charge more, even though it may take you an hour or two to do a graphic. It's your wealth of experience and knowledge that kind of allow you to really bank on that. So I think that's very important, and it's your conception of something. So I think that's a benefit, that it's really uh, your work, and it's coming from your imagination kind of thing.
So I know that based on what you're saying, this isn't a field where you need to be the brightest, if I dare say. But I still would love to know, just so if there are any students watching right now, they can be guided accordingly. If I'm in high school, what are some subjects I can really zoom in on, or what are some subjects I should at least be good in to consider this career path?
Well, as I said, a portfolio is needed. So doing art kind of really helps you build that while you're in school. However, I think applying for any university, once you just submit a portfolio, you don't have to do art to do it. Once you submit a portfolio, you should be good. But definitely having art as a subject will be a big benefit. For me, I studied the sciences, and so that was chemistry, physics, and biology. I really liked physics also and biology. And I really saw how it helped me when studying animation, because I, especially physics, you were able to kind of translate the understanding of mass, gravity, volume, how they affect, how they affect things in your world. With math, the graphs, I never thought that I would still be using graphs to this day, but understanding speed graphs and the velocity graphs is something I still do in After Effects, because that allow an emotion when you want something to move fast and then slow down and really replicate that in real life, you'd have to use a graph in the program to do that. So I definitely think if you want to go to the animation, math and physics may definitely help you later on in university understanding some concepts, and I think because animation and graphics include technology, definitely IT, you could do animation on the side of coding, where it's just code and that's how you animate and build the software to animate, or the gamings and the coding for gaming. So definitely math, because animation it's really the marriage of technology and art. Math and IT, I think, are also good subjects if you want to go in that direction. Also, animation tells a story. So literature is
Mm.
also something good to study. I know I had to write my own stories. You have to understand plot. You have to understand how to communicate, how different characters interact with each other, different qualities of a character, and that will translate into how they were represented in 2D or 3D form, like drawn out. So I think those are key subjects. I didn't do IT, and to this day, I still have to Google code for different animation stuff on After Effects, but it's definitely something you could do IT side, or you could do, as I said, if animation, physics, and math will be a nice pair with art. And lastly, if you want to do the story writing of something or really develop a story, the story side of animation, I think literature is a good subject.
It does sound like a handful, but a fun lot of a handful, if I can say so.
Yeah, it really is.
Right. But so tell us, what is it that you love the most about your job?
Wow. Okay. Well, as I was mentioning before, I don't know if I got cut off, but it really, uh, you're creating something from nothing really. And I
Yes.
really just find that beautiful. Um, that, something that you're thinking of, it, when you create it also, it either can evoke emotions in people, it communicates with them. You're finding ways to tell a story with a picture or with motion graphics. You're finding a way to represent um, the tone and the theme of something, of your message. It just that process, I really like it. um, I just really find it beautiful. And my process of working, I really love music. So depending on um, what graphic I need to do, what mood it needs to evoke, I listen to a type of song. If it needs to be upbeat, I'm listening to something more upbeat. So I find that process really beautiful of creating something, and then the result is even more so when persons really love it. They come over and be like, oh, that's Stephanie, I really love this animation or something. I really find that nice. That it's
Yeah.
a very interactive kind of feel. It's not numbers and or just
Mm-hmm.
words. It's very lively. I really like that about it.
Okay. And that sounds colorful, that sounds beautiful. But
Yeah.
where there's good, there's always some challenge.
Yeah.
So what would you consider to be the most challenging part about what you do?
Right. So as I said, I really love the process. And the process can only get going when I have what I want in my head. So normally if I'm given an assignment or a project or a campaign, I have everything starting to visualize how the mood I want, everything. So when I'm presented with something and nothing comes up in my head, I think that's the most challenging part. And I really just have to then rely on what I've learned or experienced on. Okay, I know that putting the title up here in the middle works the best. Let's start with that. And as I'm going through what I normally do, I know that, certain shapes will look good, or I'll just the process will kind of just. I think that's the challenging part when you're not really feeling something or you haven't envisioned the art piece to still get something done, because it's a part of your job to have output. I think that's a challenge that it's you need to make sure that you can still produce something even when you're not in creative mode. And I think that's definitely where experience, along with knowledge on the principles, color theory, golden ratio, everything kind of just falls into place. And once you follow those steps, those principles, work can still be produced. So it's a challenge, but you're able to get over it.
Right, right, right. Okay. So on a scale of 1 to 10 then, with 10 obviously being the highest, how much would you recommend this specific career to somebody who's listening right now?
Um, I'd say 10. If it's definitely your passion, if you like art, go for 10. For me, I loved watching cartoons growing up. I loved art too. Um, and it doesn't mean, when I say an artist, I don't mean you have to be like the next Picasso or Da Vinci, just that love for drawing. You don't have to be perfect. Honestly, practice makes perfect. And I'm an attest to that. I have to draw things a few times before it starts to look good. I'm not just somebody that can pick up their pen and just, whoa, amazing. So definitely if you have a passion for it. I had a passion for watching cartoons or animations. And I also had a passion for just the process of art and recreating it. And that's why I chose art in third form. So if you definitely have a passion, 10 out of 10. Um, they say if you love to work, you'll never feel like you're working. And that honestly is the truth. So if you like it, then go all in.
That sounds beautiful. All right, so it's, it's really good. It's really good. But and we're winding now. We're winding down. We're almost at the end. But if I want to grow for persons who they've discovered a liking for designing or for fine arts overall, um, like you mentioned before, it's not so much about the theory of it, but it's about, how you put your ideas to paper. So what could I do? How can I grow as a graphic designer or a designer in general? What are some steps I can take, or what do you do? Because I feel like it's a field that is ever evolving. So there is no one style, one design that works. So how can I be on top of things and just keep on growing?
Well, as I said before, practice, art and practice go hand in hand. If I were to show you my first motion graphic versus now, and I swore back then it was the best thing. Definitely practice. Just keep doing art pieces. Whatever field you want to do, just keep doing it. That's the first step. And I think the next step is definitely um, starting to push the limits. So and not get too comfortable with a certain art style. So my art style is very soft, clean, um, and working with a brand now that's very colorful and bright. I really had to adapt very quickly, and I find it so important to do that, to push my limits and to see, can I take somebody else's vision? It's not mine and it's not my natural art style, and recreate it. So
Mm-hmm.
definitely move out your comfort zone every now and then to just do an art style that you never thought you would have done before. Um, that's one second thing, and I think the last thing, along with pushing the limits, is to break break the theories and the rules in art and really see how far you can take something. And I think that's what makes certain pieces work when it's not what we're used to. So whether we know two colors worked great together, but instead we choose the opposite, that's the idea of contrasting colors, and that's why it's so popular now. Because
Mm-hmm.
somebody decided, no, I'm not going to put blue and green together. I'm going to put blue and yellow together, even though they're like total opposites. Um, so that's something you can do, and that's where a lot of animation styles came from. They gave them big eyes, or they can make them super skinny. They're really pushing the limits with and exaggerating things and seeing how far we can take something. And I think that's the beauty in art, really seeing the real world around us, and putting it in a space where you can break it and you can create whatever you want, and you are creating a new world, from the world around you. So I think those three things definitely will help you improve. Practice, go outside your comfort zone, and then keep pushing, the limits that are set.
Okay, and I guess that kind of goes into any advice that you'd have for students watching right now. So, I mean, if you have any final words as we wrap up for somebody
Okay.
who has interest, any final words?
Um, my final words would be, I mentioned this earlier, to be very open to criticism.
Mm-hmm.
But a step further is to not um, get too discouraged when people don't like your work.
Yeah.
So you can take criticism maybe, but you may feel bad after, and you really may discourage you from, continuing on the career path. Um, but I think it's just to know, because it's subjective, there will be people that just don't like your work.
Right.
So that's my advice is, if you see your talent and if you have the passion, then there will be people that will like your work and you will fit in with. So it's just to find those people. Um, yeah.
So in a sense, let your passion be your guide, that it rule you.
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure. For sure.
Well, thank you so much, Stephanie, for being here with us. I know it's been rough. We've been facing some challenges, but we made it. We did it, and I do think that it has been an informative session. So thank you so much for taking the time out, for being here, and yeah, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much, Tony, for having me and Link Your Purpose.
Our pleasure, our pleasure. All right.
Bye bye.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us for this episode. We do hope that you will benefit from the wealth of info that we would have just shared in this interview. And remember, if you have any further questions, you can visit our website at linkyourpurpose.com. We do have mentors and we do have a career blog that you can learn all you need from. So be sure to visit our website and also follow us on all socials at Link Your Purpose. See you next time. Bye.